Okay, check this out.
All right, let's see it.
So, blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth. And the Greek word used for meek is praus. And so praus or prautis is translated as gentle, mild, or meek. But it can also be used as regulated anger, tame, or subdued. Now, this word was used by the Greeks as a military term. And what they would do is they would go out into the wild and capture these wild horses, and they would meeken them. Now, to be meekened means to be made powerless, subdued by their master. They still hold all the strength and power and resilience, but it is now being directed in the will of the master instead of just running wild.
So let's take a look at what the lexicons say about what this word means. This is the entry for our word in the Little Scott and James, the LSJ, also known as the Great Scott, considered the most authoritative lexicon for classical Greek. I've put red boxes around the main parts of the entry so it's a little easier to see. The main sense is mild, soft, and gentle. And we can see this can be used in reference to 1, things, 2, persons, also horses and other animals, 3, actions or feelings, and then it can be used in verbal constructions where it has a more verbal sense. The second main sense is making mild, taming, and then there's also an adverbial sense at the bottom, mildly, gently. So it can be used in reference to horses, and it can also be used in reference to something being tame or something being tamed, but the context is what determines which of these senses is intended. So here is the entry from Brill's recent Dictionary of Classical Greek. We can see at the top, mild, meek, tranquil, serene, affable, gentle. That's when used in reference to persons. Below we can see it can also be used in reference to animals and to things. Then we got this sense of moderate, measured, contained, mild. We also have the more rare use, that tames, that placates. We also have mildly, gently, serenely, quietly, the adverbial sense, and then in a measured manner or with moderation towards the bottom. Again, we have different senses that are determined by the different contexts in which the word can be used. So we also have a recent Cambridge lexicon of ancient Greek, and we have 2 main senses here. The first in reference to persons and their nature or character, gentle, meek, mild. And then you can also refer to a person if you're likening them to a wild animal with this word, and the idea there is tame. But that requires that the context indicate the person is being compared to a wild animal. The second main sense is mild, gentle in reference to dogs, horses, animals in general, and also tame. So again, the context is very important. But there's another thing to consider here. These lexicons are all talking about classical Greek. The New Testament was not written in classical Greek. It was written in what is known commonly as Koine Greek, which means common Greek, vulgar Greek, the Greek as it was used as a lingua franca rather than as this more prestigious literary language from the centuries prior to the period of the New Testament. Now, the Septuagint is an ancient Greek translation of the Hebrew Bible that was rendered in Koine Greek. This is Takemitsu Muraoka's lexicon of the Septuagint Greek, and the word here is glossed as modest and unassuming, and it's used primarily in reference to Moses and others. Then we have Bauer and Danker's Greek-English lexicon of the New Testament and other early Christian literature, otherwise known as BDAG. And this points out that this really only occurs in reference to this idea of not being overly impressed by a sense of one's self-importance. Gentle, humble, considerate, meek. So we've lost any use of this term in reference to an animal that is tamed. And we see no indication that this word is used in the New Testament and the Septuagint and other early Christian literature in Koine Greek to refer to any kind of restrained power or violence or anything like that.
And so now you have these wild-hearted horses being trained and used in battle. These were the best kind of horses because they just had no fear and they would charge full force at the enemy. And as such, Jesus captures the wild-hearted people, the wild horses, people with strength, power, resilience, and he meekens them. He tames them and prepares them for battle. But not everyone is wild-hearted, as some were raised in the stable. And Jesus also categorizes us for different purposes, such as apostleship, prophets, evangelists, shepherd, and teachers. And so once meekened, they could be pointed in the right direction. They also reserve their anger for the right moment under full control.
So to reiterate, This is usage that is found in classical Greek. It is not found in Koine Greek. And additionally, these ideas must be in the context of the word's usage. These ideas are not inherent to the word itself. It only has reference to those ideas when it is being used in context where those ideas are present.
Jesus also says that I am meek and gentle. And Jesus also has a righteous anger, perfect and flawless, and is reserved for the right moment, under complete control. This moment in particular would be the Battle of Armageddon. So mercy now, wrath later. And it's not the fact that Jesus is this wild-hearted, wild-spirited person. It's the fact that he is so strong, so resilient, so powerful. He could destroy an entire army in the snap of his fingers like Thanos. But yet he chooses not to and reserves it for the right moment. It is the strong and the powerful yet self-controlled people who will inherit the earth. Those who have a sword but never have to unsheath it.
So now we have the echoes of the inspiration for this video, Jordan Peterson's nonsensical attempt to try to read into the Beatitudes a license for men to be absolute monsters as long as they can subdue it. And there is no such license anywhere in the Beatitudes or in the Sermon on the Mount. And the fact that Jesus claims to be meek in one text and in another text hints at a capacity for extreme violence does not in any way, shape, or form whatsoever indicate that the word meek must include some notion of a capacity for extreme violence. That is presupposing a degree of univocality that I think is virtually unheard of, and that's just not how language works.